Welcome into That Wrestling Show live on Nesson's Facebook. I am Mike Wendt. You Nesson viewers know me from Wicked Bites every Saturday morning at 9:30 right here on Nesson. With me in this chat about the Graps,
I am Liam Stryker of the New Age Insiders.
Every Wednesday?
Every Wednesday night live on NewAgeInsiders.com.
Still on Wednesdays?
Yeah, we're still on. Well, sometimes, I got to do other nonsense. And
you got to come in and do this show.
I got to come in and do this show. Yeah,
priorities, man.
Yeah, priorities.
You got to adult,
yeah,
as a verb, if you will. But today we are talking WWE Great Balls of the first ever
Great
Balls of Fire.
Goodness gracious!
Great Balls of Fire.
Sunday.
This coming up this Sunday, yes, indeed. And it's a stacked card.
It is.
It's not, I don't know the importance of the matches, but it is definitely, it's going to be a loaded pay-per-view.
Every single time that we come in and do this show, we have one of two things to start these shows off with.
Yes.
Either this is a Raw show where there are a bunch of people that I want to see wrestle,
right,
but there are no storylines involved at all.
Oh, no.
Or it's a SmackDown show where there are great stories, but I don't really care about anybody.
Right.
And so this is obviously...
I think I can see by the color pattern where we're leaning to our allegiance. We got blues and blues, so yeah, it's going to be one of those types of nights. Let's get right into the pre-show. Cruiserweight title, as you would on the pre-show. Neville and Akira Tozawa. Did I pronounce that right?
You did.
Now.
You did. Nailed it. I think that the Cruiserweight is underrated through a lot of the WWE fans. They're putting on good matches.
Is it underrated, or is it, like we talked about last month, just unwatched?
It's just unwatched. Yeah, people don't watch it. People aren't watching it. It's weird because the purple spaceship just, descends on Monday Night Raw.
Right.
Everything gets purple, and then it just goes away.
And it goes away.
Even though the Neville character arc has been phenomenal.
Right.
He's the king of the cruiserweights.
Yes.
He was such a, milquetoast, flippy-dippy guy.
I've loved what they've done with him.
And so this character shift, he's brutal, he's mean, he's win by any means necessary, and he's great. And then Akira Tozawa impressed during the Cruiserweight Classic last summer and has really come on as a good wrestler. But again, nobody's watching 205 Live, and so this match is going to be much like all of the Cruiserweight matches. Very entertaining.
It's going to be your last opportunity to grab a beer.
Right. Yeah, right.
Before the show begins.
Exactly.
And as the show begins, let's get into something that's basically developed, weekly over the last month or so.
Yeah.
But they actually kicked it into gear 2 weeks ago. Enzo Amore, Big Cass. The brothers explode, if you will.
Yeah, right.
Come on.
I'm actually not a really big fan of this particular storyline.
I was 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
When they first did the promo and he kicked him in the face, I was fine. Then they came out, did the BS apology, and then it's like, come on, we know what he's going to do.
Yeah.
He's already wearing the plain black T-shirt. They didn't even give him a new gimmick. He's got the same, it's like, I get what he's going to do.
Yeah, right. It was probably just flipped inside out.
Right.
But I don't know. I think it was too soon to split these two in a tag team division on Raw that is thin for star power.
Right.
You had this gimmick that was very over, and while I think that there were issues with Enzo Amore, I think they kind of put the handcuffs on him a little bit because much like John Cena when he first came out and was doing the freestyle rap battles against people, he would come up with new raps every opponent.
Now you're talking back in NXT.
I'm talking, and so Enzo Amore would make fun of people uniquely, and he would, come up with stuff, and it really seemed that everything just became rinse, wash, repeat. And when that became the norm for Enzo Amore and he was hitting cup of haters and stuff like that, it becomes stale very quickly.
When they first debuted, and I remember when they debuted, it was the Dudleys were in the ring and they kind of went back and forth a little bit. It was fresh, it was new, especially for a Raw audience.
Yep.
It was good, and that was one of the entrances I was looking forward to seeing.
Right.
Last handful of months, it's an entrance I fast forward over on the DVR.
Right.
Because you know what he's going to say. Like you said, it's the same gimmick over and over.
And another thing is, this is a team where they never capitalized on the success or popularity of this tag team. They never won the NXT Tag Team Championship, and there were several opportunities where
they've never been champion. Period.
They've never been champions. Period, and it's just weird because that also.
But somehow Cass thinks he's going to be a champion.
Oh,
okay,
yeah,
that's the angle we're going through. He's money, right?
Well, I don't know if you know this.
He's so money he has a plain black teeth.
He's 7 feet tall.
I've heard that,
and you can't teach that.
You can't. You can learn it, but you can't teach it.
Yeah, you can learn it, but you can't teach it.
Yeah.
So, so I just think that this is going to be your classic.
Big guy throws on a little guy, and we move to SummerSlam?
I think that Enzo Amore is going to, roll him up at the end to, get under...
Shenanigans?
Yeah, not even necessarily shenanigans, but he's going to, steal one in a very, comical, sneaky way.
Okay.
And this is going to just kind of continue
This is going to be the story for the summer, basically.
Yeah,
that's what they're going to do. They're not going to move on to other stuff.
Yeah, not in the near future.
So we're going to be seeing them over the next couple months.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. Now, another one. This one, why? Seth Rollins, Bray Wyatt, why? When did this start? Because, again, I DVR most of the shows, and I might have missed something. If I missed something, let me know.
Don't worry. If you did fast forward through something, you missed the start of this.
But all I've noticed is Bray Wyatt in the Mojave Desert with cactuses taking peyote. Is that what the story's about?
No.
Oh, okay.
Yes and no.
Well, school me on it.
Seth Rollins offhandedly mentioned that Bray Wyatt was a false prophet.
Okay.
And Bray Wyatt got super mad about it.
You don't do that.
Yeah, and so that's really what this is about.
Wow.
Is that Bray Wyatt more has an issue with Seth Rollins.
He's never heard of Sticks and Stones?
No.
Cool.
This is a classic. We want to see these guys wrestle. Mm-hmm. They both are in the same level of main eventer, so they got to be in a program.
It feels very much like two main eventers that we have nothing for. Put them together.
Yeah, we just got to put them together because this match will sell this show. The match is going to be very good. Because both of these...
Well, it's not going to sell the show.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
It could moderately steal the show if they both come together on it.
Right. Both of these men are
But
very,
nobody's
very
buying this
talented
pay-per-view because of this match.
Right. That is true.
Especially with the build.
Yeah, especially with the build. But I think that, this is a match that's going to be good. It's, two guys that are very, very popular.
Sure, absolutely.
That are very good at professionally wrestling.
Right.
And so having them, in a match together is definitely...
Who's going to win, and do we care?
We don't care.
Okay.
I am going to say Seth Rollins just because...
You're not going to give Bray one in a meaningless match?
No, they don't give Bray anything on pay-per-view.
I get it when the match counts.
Right.
You build a big story and Bray loses. That's the rinse, wash, repeat gimmick of him.
Right. See,
but in a meaningless match, you got to give him one.
Right. I think you're absolutely right, but I think Seth Rollins is closer to the next in line to face Brock. So... Last time we did this show when we talked about...
And he has to go through Bray Wyatt to get there?
Sort of, yeah. But
okay.
We had Brock Lesnar as this looming force. They had the Extreme Rules match to decide the number one contender.
Sure.
All of those men, with the exception of Roman Reigns,
right,
this year are going to face Brock Lesnar and lose to Brock Lesnar.
Wow,
and
bold statement.
Yeah, that's my bold
statement. Hot take right there.
Hot take, hashtag. But having Seth Rollins... He is more of a marquee name to potentially pair up with Brock Lesnar at SummerSlam.
Okay.
Right? Seeing that that's the next show for them. So having Seth Rollins coming off a win against Bray Wyatt, that seems more logical that it could position Seth Rollins to be the next guy to take on Brock after Samoa Joe.
I just realized I'm not seeing him on my sheet. When do you see Finn Balor facing Brock Lesnar?
I think he's going to face him at the Royal Rumble. I think that's when we finally get that one-on-one confrontation, and I think that he's going to come up short, even though that's the wrong decision, because you can only tell the story of the champion that never lost his title going after his title to reclaim it once.
Right.
And I think that he should be the guy to beat Brock Lesnar, but if you've watched this program before, you would know that Roman Reigns is the guy that's going to do it, and it's going to happen at WrestleMania. For those of you who are living under a rock and have no idea what happened.
I missed it, even though we talked about it on the show.
Roman Reigns beat The Undertaker and retired The Undertaker at WrestleMania.
Oh, I did hear that.
Yeah.
Hot take on that wrestling show.
And then Brock Lesnar beat the streak. Undertaker was undefeated.
Yes.
And then
many men cried.
Yeah, yes, many men cried. And so both of these men are like the only two people to beat The Undertaker at WrestleMania. Okay. So of course they're going to fight at WrestleMania.
There you go.
To see who's the tougher man.
And we're returning back to New Orleans, so where the whole thing, it's going to be poetic, trust me.
It's going to be very fair. It's going to be...
Before we move on to the next match, why isn't Finn Balor on my sheet? Why doesn't he have a match? Because
they don't know what to do with him right now.
Clearly, he's been six-man tagging with the Hardys, but we're not going to get him and the Duster or the Drifter or the guitar player in a pre-show match at least?
Yeah,
Nothing? Maybe a YouTube exclusive?
Yeah, it would be a YouTube exclusive. You know,
they're not just going to Snapchat a quick match?
The issue is that they just don't have anything for him. He's such a larger-than-life character. You kind of need to use him in a certain way. And this is my issue with Brock Lesnar, is that Brock Lesnar being at the top kind of gums up everything else, and it stunts the development of certain guys. Finn Balor. Yeah.
Okay.
Finn Balor being one of them.
Yeah.
Another one is, we're going to get to him later, is Braun Strowman.
Sure.
You know, and
but at least they're doing something with him.
Right, but I feel like it's more serendipitous that the fact that Braun Strowman and Roman Reigns are facing.
So you believe they just have nothing for him and they're not going to use them until they have something for him?
I think so.
That's a weird way to go. But let's talk about his six-man partners. The Hardy Boys, Sheamus and Cesaro, in a tag team titles 30-minute Iron Man match. I actually did some research because I was like, is this the first time they've ever done one of these? Kind of.
Yes.
Kind of. Let me pull my other sheet out here, my notes.
Let me learn me something.
So, it is technically the first time WWE has ever done a 30-minute tag team Iron Man match.
Okay.
They've done 2 15-minute matches.
Okay.
The first, and these are gems to hold for. Go to the network and find these ones, definitely. From June 2nd of 2005, SmackDown, Eminem, Johnny Nitro, Joey Mercury, defeated 2-1 Charlie Haas and Hardcore Holly.
Oh, wow.
In a barn burner of a 15-minute match. Morrison again shows up in 2008, January 2008, in the dregs of ECW. John Morrison and The Miz went to a 1-1 draw against, wait for it, Shannon Moore and Jimmy Wang Yang.
Oh, Jimmy Wang Yang.
Again, go to the network and find these ones. Whoo, boy. Now, there was a 30-minute tag team Iron Man match held in TNA Impact, but nobody saw it. So moving on to this one.
If you wrestle on Impact,
it was the Wolves versus Aries and Rude. The Wolves versus Aries. I'm sure it was a great match, not only the performers.
Right.
But it was on, Impact 2 years ago.
Yeah, and nobody was watching.
Yeah, exactly. So this match, though.
Yes.
These are two teams that have been gelling very well together.
Yeah, I'm excited for a 30-minute match between the two of them. I think that we're going to get, everybody's going to get their stuff in. You're going to get a lot of people that are going to see the swing, and, you might even
We might have a 15-minute swing.
You might have a 15-minute swing. Cesaro's just going around and around and around and around and around. Bro kicks galore.
Sure.
Swantons. Jeff's probably going to jump off of something.
I mean, it's a good estimate, yeah.
Because
good guess.
This is the type of match where they will, it's not a no disqualification environment.
No.
But they might go away from the ring a little bit, and then
they might take a little wander.
Right, and Jeff's going to jump off of something.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Will Matt break a little bit?
I don't know. I keep going back and forth on the breaking. I don't think WWE is 100% invested in the broken gimmick.
Well, I think what they've said is basically you're on your own legally, so go figure it out and then we'll talk.
Right.
Now, he did tweet something just this past week saying they're days away, but again, don't believe everything you hear on the internet.
Right.
This show especially.
Yeah.
But what do you think? Are they leaning? Because he was on commentary, and there was a few.
Well,
is he just trolling us?
I think so.
He's
because
just
he comes
messing with
in
us.
and out of it. He comes in and out of it. I think that
he's clearly doing the mannerisms.
Yeah.
And he's dropping into the V1 mannerisms, which is way back.
He looks like a person who is diagnosed with schizophrenia.
That's kind of the character, though.
Exactly.
That's the broken character.
That is the broken character.
Yeah.
So he's doing all these weird different versions of himself. And I don't know, it's working, and I like it.
It was like the week he had his Twitter name as Confused Matt Hardy.
Yeah.
I loved it.
Yeah.
But I think, he's just kind of trolling us at this point. Until the legal shenanigans are out of the way.
Yeah, I think once...
just kill the owl. Jesus.
I know. Did you see that? They had an owl fly through the arena?
I didn't watch the show, but I did see the clip of the owl. Awesome. Yeah. Well played. Wrestling.
Good job,
Anyway.
Guys. Good job, Impact.
Are we going to finally get the Hardys getting their titles back? Or are we going to keep this story going?
You know what? I think that the Hardys are going to pull this one out. Or they're going to break. I think that it's one or the other.
So it's one or the other.
It's one or the other. They either break or they...
There's either going to be a last-minute legal decision or they get the titles back for a couple weeks to a month.
Yeah, okay. And then we'll see what ends up happening at SummerSlam.
All right. Intercontinental title match, The Miz and Dean Ambrose. This is starting to feel like Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens. They will be fighting forever.
This is a tale
But nobody remembers it.
Yeah, right.
I keep forgetting, Dean Ambrose is on this show. That's right.
This is a tale of two performers for me.
Yeah.
I think that The Miz, Mike Mizanin, has developed into one of, and it's, you know, it's in his gimmick and all this other stuff, one of the most must-see superstars on Raw. And he is one of the most must-see superstars in WWE in general. And he's done a great job because 4 or 5 years ago, he was that idiot from the real world, you know, and nobody liked him.
He was hosting the Divas Search.
Right. And
poorly at that.
Yes. Everybody hated him. They just hated him for all of the wrong reasons. Now people hate him for all of the right reasons.
Absolutely.
You know, he gets the right type of heat.
He's leaned heavily into his heel character, and he's worked very well with it.
He is playing that character so well. Dean Ambrose, I don't like.
He's floundering at this point.
I don't like him at all.
It was great when he started, and that because he was kind of that... because we just talked about it, it's fresh in my mind, that kind of broken schizophrenic type of lunatic, if you will. But now it's just like, all right, I think the James Ellsworth thing, I still blame him for killing it.
Yeah.
That whole James Ellsworth, AJ Styles, Dean Ambrose thing that took over last winter, 3 months, destroyed him.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you can't really kill AJ Styles, but Dean Ambrose is a direct effect of the Ellsworth.
Well, the other thing, too, is Dean Ambrose came into this company with a reputation. He wrestled for... wrestling a very extreme and bloody style. You know, there's a clip.
I've seen the Saw.
Yeah, right. If you search Johnny Moxley on the internet, and you know, there's a picture of him just taking a sawzall blade to somebody's forehead.
Actually, it was his.
Yes, that's right.
It was his head that was getting sawzalled.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah, we talked about it to him on the radio show, and I asked him what was the first thing that went through your head when you were getting a sawzall to the head, and he goes, steel.
Yeah, that's
bravo.
Yes.
Believe.
And so that's the reputation that he walked into this company with.
Right.
And when it's a 6-month-old, you know, 8-month-old character, there's still the potential that that person could still be in here. But now we're years...
But they don't even do that style.
Right.
It's not even close to that style.
Right. And now we're years into this character, and he doesn't do anything crazy at all. The craziest thing he ever did was...
put on that big baller shirt. We'll get to that in a minute, though.
Yeah. You stole a hot dog cart once, and it's like, oh, wow, you're wacky.
It was funny, though. I gotta admit, that period of him was very amusing to watch on television. But then it's like, they get to the matches, and it's like,
I hate that his offense is all like springboard based, where it's like, I'm gonna like slingshot myself through the ropes, and I'm gonna like run. It's just like, that doesn't make sense.
It's supposed to be erratic, I think.
Yeah, I don't like it.
So we're sticking with the Miz and keeping the title.
Yeah. Yep.
By the way, I love the entourage that he's developed. Finally, we're doing something with Curtis Axel and Bo Dallas there. Believe.
I love Bo Dallas.
He's talking about someone who's changed and evolved over from going from the big toothy grin, smiling, I want to be a babyface, but I'm not, to where we are now. Basically, he's just waiting for Big Brother to call him.
I know. If
Put
you
me in
ever
the
want to watch
family.
anything, you ever want to watch anything entertaining, watch the NXT stuff with Bo Dallas as champion, because he goes on a world tour where he just basically goes to Bolivia.
That's fantastic.
It's just so funny. It's insane.
So we're keeping it on the Miz.
Yeah.
Do you think there's going to be a little bit of shenanigans with the entourage?
Of course.
Gotta
be.
Gotta be.
You know, Dean Ambrose is going to look like he has the upper hand, and then Bo Dallas is going to leave his ass down there.
So we're going to continue this story through SummerSlam, probably.
Yeah, I think so.
Excellent. Look forward to Dean Ambrose at SummerSlam. Okay. Moving on. Apparently, they've dubbed this the Boss versus the Goddess. I didn't know we were calling Alexa Bliss the Goddess, but cool. Let's go with it. Women's title match. Alexa Bliss and Sasha Banks.
This is going to be great. This match is going to be great.
Match worthy, okay. Again, in-ring stuff will be fun, but I mean, I feel the same way about Sasha Banks I do about Dean Ambrose. I forget she's on the show.
Right.
They've done nothing with her.
Yeah, they kind of go in and out with using her. I think when they have something important for her to do, they use her. But until then, I think they just kind of, you know, put her on the shelf.
I'm going to sit here and lean into my original statement, and I'm going to blame the fans on this one.
Yes.
She's a heel, and you keep cheering her, and this is on you. You don't like the way the character's going? Stop it.
Yeah, well, this is, and now she's a babyface, right?
Oh, very much so, unfortunately, because it's not working.
No.
It's not working. Her doing the blow-up inflatable balloon thing with Bayley, it was just, I'm like, really?
Yeah.
You came out to a pay-per-view in a Cadillac Escalade once with your Snoop Dogg cousin and all that stuff, and now you're doing balloon animals. Bravo. Well played.
Yeah.
State of your character.
Right. She's a little lost. She has to kind of redefine herself a little bit, and I think entering into a program with Alexa Bliss is going to help that. Alexa Bliss clearly has a character, has a direction, has a personality. So I think getting Sasha involved will help redefine that as we go through the rest of the summer.
How is the women's division going to shape up, though? I mean, it's the Raw one especially is. SmackDown seems to have a fluid line of where they want to go, but Raw is just, it's all over the place.
Yeah, and that's indicative of the booking of Raw, where it doesn't feel like they have one captain steering this ship, and instead have several people that all want to go in different directions. Because you just have so many players on Raw that it's like, where do you want to go? What do you want to do? And I think you need to pick an A story with your men and your women, and they've done a great job doing that.
I mean, they're sticking with Alexa
side.
Bliss. That much they've kind of settled on. She's obviously the dominant character on the women's division. But the rest of them, it's tough to find an opponent for her. And they're trying things. They were trying Nia Jax for a couple weeks, see how that plays. I mean, they can always fall back on Sasha Banks because they know she's going to get cheered. They can fall back on Bayley because they know she's going to get cheered. But the story development is just like,
they're not.
This is your life.
Yeah. Oh, God, that was the worst. But you also look at their development where this match came up last week.
Right.
It wasn't.
It literally came out of nowhere.
It came out of nowhere. It was just like, oh, we have this show. Yeah. We gotta.
Nia Jax was tearing through the gauntlet of women, and then Sasha Banks was the last one and beat her.
Yeah.
Very quickly at that.
Yeah, it was very weird.
They were not making her look strong at all. So we're sticking with Alexa Bliss going to SummerSlam?
I think so.
Okay. Not a lot of title changes, I don't think.
No, I don't think that this show is just something that we're doing. In a world where WWE has 2 pay-per-views a month.
You mean Great Balls of Fire is not going to be a staple of the WWE family? It's not going to be right up there with Survivor Series and SummerSlam. In 20 years, we're not going to have a Great Balls of Fire DVD package?
Yeah, you're
no?
right.
You don't think so?
No.
Oh, okay.
Right.
It's going to go the way to the Bash.
To be fair, I thought that about Battleground. And that one's next.
We almost got 15 of those at this point.
Yeah, but that's because they do 5 a year.
That is true. It's Battleground Unleashed, I think.
Yeah. Well, that was this past year we had 2 fast lanes.
Yeah.
Roadblock
or end of the line.
Yeah. Seriously, sir, you need to get off this bus.
Seriously, take your exit. Suplex City. Okay. Ambulance match. Roman Reigns, Braun Strowman. I like that Braun can't see through windows.
Yeah.
First of all, just to go back to Raw for a second.
Yes.
I'm like, we all knew what was going to happen. The second he opened up the thing, I'm like, okay, so Roman's in the front seat. And then he looks in the window, and I'm like, okay. Then he walks away, and Roman jumps out. I'm like, he was sitting. I get, we suspend disbelief. It's wrestling. Yeah. I'm trying to put logic into wrestling. I shouldn't. It's bad Mike. Yeah. But, really.
I know.
The man can't see through glass.
Yeah, which, you know what? Sometimes that's an affliction.
Well, he's only been on the main roster for a while. Maybe he can't afford the LASIK yet. We'll get there, Braun. Don't worry about it.
Don't worry.
It's going to be a hell of a bruiser, though.
It's going to be the best match of the night.
It's going to be just a fight.
It is. It's going to be brutal. It's going to be hard-hitting. These two work so well together.
They really do.
They work so well together. Braun Strowman is my favorite wrestler on Raw right now. I want a shirt that's just his face screaming, saying, "I'm not done with you."
You've said that for 3 months now. And
I just want it.
Clearly, nobody's listening.
Nobody's listening, because that's all I want. I just want that shirt.
Get on the Twitter machine and get that shirt made.
Yes.
I don't know what the hashtag will be. It'll be way too long. I'm not done with you yet. That wrestling show T-shirt. Hashtag Liam and I. There you go.
So, I think that this match is going to be great. I think Roman Reigns is going to pull out this victory. I think that, we've spent basically a year having Braun Strowman just brutalize Roman Reigns, and I think that this is now going to be the time where Roman Reigns finally gets his.
And because this is basically, Great Balls of Fire is basically an extended SummerSlam pre-show.
Right.
Where are we going from here with these two guys?
See, I think that you go one of 2 ways. I think that the winner of this match, I know I said earlier with Seth Rollins that Seth Rollins might be in line to be the next guy to face Brock, but you could also argue that whoever wins this ambulance match could be the person that faces Brock.
So do you think they could move the Roman thing up to SummerSlam and take it away from WrestleMania? That sounds like a misdirection.
I hope beyond hope that that's what happens.
Just to get it out of the way?
Just to get it out of the way.
Because you just want Brock to lose the title.
I just want Brock to lose the title, is really what it is.
Or start showing up on a regular basis.
Or show up more regularly. I don't, if you listen to this past week's New Age Insiders NAI pod, which is on iTunes, so you can watch it and listen to it. And
hashtag cheap plug.
Yeah, hashtag cheap plug. I go through everything about it, and I'm going to double up right now and talk all about my thing with Brock Lesnar.
Go ahead.
I don't, it's not that I hate Brock Lesnar or the champion needs to show up consistently.
Sure.
Because I don't need the belt to show up to make it feel important or any of that nonsense. But Brock Lesnar was brought on in a time where you didn't have a defined main event.
Okay.
And so Brock Lesnar took the title off of TV while the rest of those guys stayed on TV to kind of sort it all out.
Right.
Now, a year and a half, 2 years later, we have that main event. Bray Wyatt, Seth Rollins, Roman Reigns, Samoa Joe, Finn Balor. That's your main event. And Brock Lesnar no longer gives me the Brock Lesnar stuff. Brock Lesnar in 2004 is one of my favorite wrestlers of all time.
Right.
Because he cared, his matches were different, they told stories.
Sure.
Now it's very much just like, Brock Lesnar's just going to German suplex people. And it's like, look, I know some people are really, really into that, and that's fine. It just doesn't do it for me, especially when the next Brock Lesnar in Braun Strowman is on this show. And that guy...
Yeah, but like we just said, he's just shown up.
Right.
He's got a ways to go before he becomes...
Brock Lesnar. And I'm not comparing them right now, but... it's kind of like a quarterback controversy, right?
Okay.
You have your starting incumbent quarterback, and you have this brand new hot shot, probably going to be something, quarterback. You got to make a decision because you can ride the old guy into the ground, or you can go with the new guy and see where his potential is. Okay. And that doesn't even mean that Brock Lesnar needs to necessarily go away.
No.
But Brock Lesnar can wrestle Roman Reigns in an ambulance match while Braun Strowman takes on Samoa Joe for the title. Just kind of flip him a little bit.
But it also kind of goes with the whims of what Brock wants.
Right, and I don't like that.
Well, sometimes it works.
Sometimes it works, but sometimes I'm not.
Sometimes it works. Over the last personally, I like the specialness of Brock. And I've said it. A couple of years ago, I had Paul Heyman on the radio show, and we talked a little bit about Brock and the specialness of him. And I equated it to, and I know it's almost sacrilege to say in a wrestling environment, but Brock's kind of become the new Andre.
Right.
Where Andre wasn't on every show. He went from town to town to town, and he became that special attraction that people paid to go see. And that's kind of what they've done with him, just in the modern environment type of thing, where he shows up a handful of times a year, but the matches feel more special.
Yeah.
They feel bigger. They have that big fight feel, if you will.
You're absolutely right, and I don't discredit that about Brock Lesnar, but I also...
And isn't that what the title is all about, though? Having a big fight feel?
Yeah, it's just very tough to tell the main story of your television show when the main character just isn't there. Imagine if we tried to tell Indiana Jones and the Raiders of the Lost Ark, but Indiana Jones only shows up every 5 scenes. And so in between that, we just hear characters be like, did you hear what Indiana Jones did?
Gotcha.
Oh, Indiana Jones, he's off doing that thing. And it's just like, that's not an entertaining movie.
Right. I absolutely see what you're saying. I see both sides of that coin.
Right, and so like I said, I don't need Brock Lesnar to go away, but if Brock Lesnar is just going to descend onto this product for a certain amount of time, he's just going to show up for Great Balls of Fire. He didn't show, it doesn't matter what Brock Lesnar's doing because it's going to be fun and it's going to be great and it's going to be scary, but...
So we've kind of moved on to the Brock and Samoa Joe match.
Yeah, we kind of have.
Yeah.
I think Roman Reigns wins just because I think I've watched this show and having Roman Reigns win he's going to finally get
Just to wrap up the ambulance match.
Just to wrap up this Braun Strowman Roman Reigns thing.
Gotcha. Okay.
But I do think that one thing that WWE really needs to think about utilizing is every wrestler on their roster should have one guy they just can't beat, right? And so, CM Punk always got over on John Cena. There was this man, his name's Phil Brooks. He's an MMA fighter.
Very good.
It was a very, very short career. But John Cena never could get over on CM Punk.
Right.
So that eventually we built to this story where, oh my God, John Cena has never beaten CM Punk one-on-one for anything important.
Okay.
And so now it made their last confrontation so much bigger because it was a right to face The Rock at WrestleMania.
Gotcha.
And he was able to do it. And so if, like, Roman Reigns, everybody hates the fact that Roman Reigns just beats everybody. And it's like, well, if Braun Strowman is the guy that he just can't beat, eventually you have a compelling story for Roman Reigns because Roman Reigns isn't just a guy that beats everybody because he can't beat this guy.
They also got to let that go a bit, but that was a couple shows ago where we beat up the fans. Anyway, Universal Championship, Brock Lesnar, Samoa Joe. Let's actually get into the match and not just your blind hatred for Brock Lesnar.
This match is going to be brutal, hard-hitting, and awesome.
I think the last couple weeks especially, I think they've done a great job of building Joe as a absolute scary monster, credible threat.
If you're going to
he still wears my grandfather's bathing suit to the ring, but that's a whole other story.
If you're going to insist on doing the Brock Lesnar versus Roman Reigns at WrestleMania, and Brock Lesnar is going to beat all of the men that were in that fatal 5-way at Extreme Rules, you have to make them all look incredible in their losses.
Sure.
WWE, to their credit, has made Joe look like a monster and on the level of Brock Lesnar.
I agree.
This is not going to be a squash match. This is not going to be anything close to a decisive Brock Lesnar win. Samoa Joe, at points in this match, will look like he's going to win this thing, which is the best way to watch wrestling. Because if you honestly think that the guy has a shot in the middle of the match,
that's just it. It doesn't feel like a normal, as we would call it, Brock Lesnar match. Over the last few years that we've been conditioned to believe that Brock's showing up. Brock's going to, as you said, he's a German suplex, F5, done. He's gone. He's not paid by the hour. This feels like Joe has a chance.
Right. And that's all that I want. That's all that I'm looking for. And I think Samoa Joe does have a fighting chance.
You just believe in hope.
I do. I am a hopeful person.
All right. You believe in hope. But you don't believe Joe's going to win the championship.
I don't believe Joe's going to win the championship. He's looked like an absolute monster.
You don't believe Brock's first title defense with the Universal Championship, his loss is going to come at Great Balls of Fire?
Yeah, I don't think so. I just don't. For all of the reasons.
Right.
All of those reasons. I'm firmly...
Besides the silly name.
Yeah, and the night after, besides the name.
Right.
The night after WrestleMania, Samoa Joe, Brock Lesnar and Paul Heyman stood in the middle of that ring and laid out the challenge for next year. Paul Heyman said, he's the one in 22 and 1, and you're the other.
You're the other one.
You're the other one. So
I think it's 23 and 2 or
23 and whatever the thing is.
Math.
Math.
But, on a wrestling show.
They're going to go at each other at WrestleMania. It evolves around The Undertaker at WrestleMania.
Sure.
They're going to fight at WrestleMania to see who the best person at WrestleMania is.
Can we get The Undertaker as a special guest timekeeper of that match?
Yeah.
Okay.
Only if he dyes his hair.
Okay.
I just want him to have gray hair. He's maintained black.
Old man Taker.
Yeah, just
all right.
He's an old lawman.
There you go.
About to ride off into the sun.
He's actually playing a dead person.
Yeah, right. He is the personification of death.
Overall, what's your general takeaway? What do you think Great Balls of Fire is going to leave with you?
I think that Great Balls of Fire is going to kind of be a C+B show. I don't think that it's going to wow people by any stretch of the imagination. The only thing that might make this a oh wow OMG moment is if they pull the trigger on Samoa Joe, which I don't think they will. But WWE has...
It has happened before. I mean, I was watching Fastlane with you guys.
Yeah.
And nobody thought Goldberg was going to win.
Yeah, nobody thought Goldberg was going to win. But having Samoa Joe beat Brock Lesnar could be potentially that OMG moment because
that sends everybody home with a good feeling in their heart, a wow moment. Got them off the couch after 4 hours.
Yeah, right. They're surprised that it happened because WWE, to their credit, in this 2 pay-per-view system, has done a great job with giving you one thing, at least one thing,
each show
to take away from each show. And so Samoa Joe winning could be one of those. Braun Strowman putting Roman Reigns through the ambulance
I like that, actually.
Is potentially one, but other than those 2 moments, I don't see any other potential OMG moments.
Gotcha. You don't see a big moment coming out of Enzo and Cass?
Yeah.
No.
unless they decide to team up and fight evil and solve mysteries or something.
Okay, they become Scooby-Doo.
Yeah, they become Scooby-Doo.
Gotcha.
So.
Okay. Now something off WWE.
Yes.
That happened this past weekend. Am I correct?
Yes.
Okay. New Japan Pro Wrestling G1 USA Special. Is that what it's called officially? All right. So I got the times. Before I get into it, before I let you get into it, there is a encore presentation of the first night, followed by the premiere presentation of night 2. It's on Access TV, which is spelled AXS. I don't know why I went like that. Starts today at 4:20 p.m.
Yep.
And continues basically for the next 12 hours.
Correct.
Something like that. I got my DVR set because I did not watch it live over the weekend. And as someone who doesn't watch a lot of New Japan, I've seen it on Access.
Yep.
Every once in a while, I'll flip, see a wrestling match, I'll watch it. Okay, cool. Saw our friend Matt Taven on there a couple times, that sort of stuff. But sell me on it. Why should I got the DVR set for 420 on Access, New Japan G1 USA, but why should I sit down and invest what seems like it's going to be 8 hours of programming?
Yeah. So
why? Tell me.
New Japan Pro Wrestling is the biggest promotion in Japan.
Okay.
They are the WWE equivalent of Japanese wrestling, right? And so they finally are trying to come over to the United States and install just basically a touring schedule in the United States. It started.
Is this their first U.S. show?
This is their first big U.S. show.
Okay.
I think that they've done very small pockets in the past where it's like, we've done like a VFW in Long Beach before, but like nothing.
They've tagged onto it like an ROH show or something like that.
Yeah, nothing like this. Nothing that was 2-night tournament, crown a champion.
New title.
A new title, brand new title, so we'll get to that.
Beautiful belt, by the way.
It's beautiful.
It's a really nice looking belt.
The reason why you should watch it is WWE fans in general get very fickle and get very mad. We've talked about it on this show before. And the biggest way to kind of reset your wrestling clock, as you would say, is to watch other things than WWE.
Right.
You know, when WWE was at its best, or WWF was at its best, is when WCW was a viable alternative, and when TNA was a viable alternative in the mid-2000s. And so going out and finding things like Ring of Honor or New Japan are great alternatives because they don't wrestle the same way that WWE does. New Japan Pro Wrestling is far closer to like a UFC fighting promotion than they are to WWE. They don't have long-winded comical segments. While they do have comedy act wrestlers, they don't have like skits. They do comedy in the ring, and so
Not going to get your top of the hour 20-minute promo, bro.
Yeah, nothing like that. The only time that they really kind of cut promos is after the main event. The victor will speak,
and it's almost like you said, like a big fight type of like press conference. The belt is presented, the whole deal. Rocky IV at the end,
right? Rocky IV at the end. So New Japan did this G1 special in the USA. It was a 2-night tournament to crown the first ever IWGP United States champion. So it was a single elimination tournament taking place over 2 days.
Now, I actually did a little bit of looking up because I've always wondered. I've seen the IWGP titles many times on many different wrestlers, tag titles, heavyweight titles, AJ Style War, the Kingdom War, the tag titles, etc., etc. Never actually gave any concern because I'm like, it's New Japan, but apparently IWGP is like the governing body of Japan wrestling, kind of like the NWA is here, or was here.
Or was, exactly. So it stands for International Wrestling Grand Prix.
There you go.
And so that's what it stands for, and you're right. They're the governing body over all of it because at one point where the NWO storyline came from was actually New Japan because this other promotion invaded New Japan Pro Wrestling, and that's how that faction started, and it was very much a hostile takeover in the same way, because they were all under the IWGP. Now it's kind of all under one branch, and it is New Japan. But that's
But they kept the lineage.
But they kept the lineage because that belt has as much lineage as whichever WWE title you want to talk about.
Pick one.
Because it's whatever. But it was great because it gave you an opportunity to watch all of the big stars because New Japan sent all of their big guys over. Okada wrestled Cody Rhodes for the IWGP heavyweight.
Cody who?
He doesn't have a last name, but he's the American Nightmare.
Cody Rhodes. We can say it on this show.
But it just feels and looks like wrestling. If you're an older fan, if you're an older school fan that remembers longer matches, people really battling back and forth, kind of telling a story in the ring, that's the type of style that New Japan, offers you. And it's very different, and it looks different. It's, while it's in a smaller arena for this New Japan special because it was in a convention hall in
But
Long
normally
Beach.
they're in like Tokyo Dome.
They're
and
in
stuff,
like huge arenas and stuff like that, but it just feels different. It's brighter. It's like a fighting promotion. It looks like if you turned on like, you know, judo, right? And you just are watching a judo match somewhere or like college wrestling. And it was fantastic.
Okay.
The other big
Now you watched it live, correct?
I watched it live. I watched both live. Because I have New Japan World, which is the WWE Network equivalent for New Japan.
Gotcha. Okay.
And you go on Google, they translate everything, so you can just sign up. I think.
Well, on the TV show, the few times I've seen it on Access, they have Jim Ross.
Yes, and that was what I was
good old
about
JR commentating.
And that was what I was just about to get to is Jim Ross calls this. So
he calls this show.
He calls this show. He calls the US, the G1 US.
Oh, awesome.
And so watch it because it sounds like wrestling. Jim Ross is going to remind you why you liked wrestling in the first place if you have fallen out of favor with the WWE product as it currently stands.
Or if you just need an alternative.
And it's
palate cleanser.
Because Jim Ross doesn't call all of them, right? Sometimes it is the Ring of Honor, like their commentary team that does do it.
This specific 8 hours of wrestling is Jim Ross.
Is Jim Ross. And you're going to be introduced to guys that are just as good as the WWE wrestlers. Kazuchika Okada is one of the best wrestlers on the planet. He is the IWGP Heavyweight Champion, and you'll watch him and you'll be in awe of how talented that man is, and he is phenomenal. There's Kenny Omega, who you've probably heard of. He is the only 6-star Meltzer-rated wrestler.
Hashtag Meltzer said it. Anyway.
Right. And then the Bullet Club. You've probably seen
You've seen their T-shirts,
You've seen their T-shirts. You get to actually experience what that is.
And I was going to ask, it's not just a tournament. There are like tag matches.
There are matches. So the first night, the main event of that night is Cody versus Okada for the IWGP Heavyweight Championship.
Okay. Is that part of the tournament, or is that just them having?
That was just them having a match.
Okay.
There was a heavyweight tag team title match between the Guerrillas of Destiny and War Machine.
Your buddies.
Yep. They're great. Warbeard Hansen, personal friend, he's awesome. Yeah. So, I'm super happy for him. Him and Raymond Rowe, they're one hell of a tag team.
We'll have to get them in here sometime.
We're going to have to get them in here because they're fantastic. They're big and strong and brooding and everything you'd want in just a brutal tag team. And, they wrestled the Guerrillas of Destiny, who are Haku's boys.
Okay.
And
I was going to ask because I saw the pictures online. I'm like, why is Haku in the Bullet Club?
Yeah, and it's because his sons are the Guerrillas of Destiny.
Gotcha. Okay, makes sense now.
And so that's why they're great. They're phenomenal. They have that Samoan lineage.
Sure.
They're basically, if you follow NXT, they're the Authors of Pain. But they're a better version of the Authors of Pain.
Gotcha.
The Young Bucks. The Young Bucks are going to wrestle. Tanahashi. He is the Japanese.
Young Bucks who are champions of everything.
Yeah, they even have their own titles.
Cool.
But it's worth checking out. It's going to be on Access Live tonight.
Like I said, the first it's a 2-night special, and night 1 starts today at 4:20, and it follows basically the second night continues at 8 o'clock. So you're going to get about 8 hours of this style of wrestling.
Right.
On Access, which is AXS TV. It takes a little bit of searching, but you can find it on most cable providers in HD, unlike Pop.
Again, if you go to New Japan World, and you can get it on there, because that's how I ended up watching it. Right. So a lot of people watched the first night because it was on Access on Saturday.
Gotcha.
You can watch it live. Sunday, if you had New Japan World, you could watch it live. But if you didn't, you have to wait till tonight.
Gotcha.
So there are a lot of people, and it was very active on social media. So hop on Twitter, and you can talk to people and just kind of find out like what's going on or any sort of stuff if you've missed.
Tell us what you think.
Yeah, tweet at me. I'll answer any questions at LiamNAI.
That's why I can let you go, because I'm a novice at New Japan, but I know you watch it a lot.
Yeah, they don't have programming as often as WWE in terms of they don't have 5 hours of weekly content that
just sometimes a good thing.
Yeah, which is great. They do shows every 3 weeks or something.
It gets a bit exhausting.
So it becomes something you can look forward to.
Sure.
And you can kind of plan around, because it's not like, oh man, every Monday and Tuesday I have to carve out time. You can be like, oh, this show's on Saturday.
Right.
If you want to watch it live, it's at 3 o'clock in the morning, but you don't have to.
Right.
And they've done a great job putting all of their commentary into English. They offer an English commentary team for all of their shows.
Nice.
So it's easy to digest, because even when someone like Okada is speaking on a microphone and speaking in Japanese, they do a good job of telling you the bullet points of what he's saying.
The commentators.
Okay. You know,
so you get the point.
So you get the point.
It's not as scary as sitting there like, I got to watch a promo in Japanese, but I don't speak Japanese, so I'm going to sit there like,
I don't know what's happening. No.
All right.
In real time, you know, you can hear the passion and the inflection in his voice, and then that mixed with, he said he was going to take out Kenny Omega at the G1 special, you know, so you get to you get the feeling, and the matches speak for themselves, and the matches are international. So it's definitely worth your time, whether you actually sit down tonight and watch it or find it online, whether on New Japan or somewhere else.
Yeah, and again, there's 8 hours today, so even if you just peek in and out.
Yeah, because that's last Saturday, they played like everything, every big show that New Japan had, the Access played.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, so it was a full day.
It was a whole day of Japanese wrestling. So.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, thank you, Liam. Thank you very much. Now let's get into some fun stuff.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
The wrestling rant. Today we're doing celebrity appearances, the good, the bad, and the damn ugly. Because the past couple weeks, WWE has leaned heavily into celebrity appearances. One was horrendous, one was forgettable, and one I actually enjoyed.
Okay.
All right, I'm going to start with the one that's forgettable, just to remind you. Josh Duhamel. Showed up on commentary. Josh Duhamel is an actor who I actually like. I enjoyed him in the show Las Vegas with James Caan.
He was in Transformers?
That was kind of what they were promoting. Transformers was just coming out. He also just signed on to direct the next WWE Studios film.
Okay.
So that's the connection there.
There you go.
The problem with this type of situation, he openly put on his microphone and said, "This is the first time I've ever seen WWE." God.
Right.
So you know how this is going to go.
Right.
And it went just that way. It's very forgettable. Most of you probably like, oh yeah, he did do that, didn't he?
Right.
You know, I saw it in your face. You did too.
I forgot.
You forgot.
I had forgotten.
Now, the one that was just flat out ugly.
Yeah.
LeVar, Lonzo, and LaMelo Ball.
Yeah. That was horrendous.
They showed up for a special Miz TV, and it was, which one signed with the Lakers? Lonzo?
Lonzo.
Okay. Lonzo signed with the Lakers. It was his first time as a Laker in the Staples Center.
Right.
And boy, will the internet never let him forget it. Because his dad ripped his shirt off.
Yep.
Started doing some weird chicken dance.
Yeah.
His younger brother, LaMelo, dropped 2 racial epithets. Very good.
Yeah.
That's great. Live TV, your first appearance. Double M-bomb. Awesome. And it was a train wreck. Even without the racial slur. It was a train wreck.
Right, especially when, you know, wrestling fans are smart. You know, we're all on social medias, and everybody knew that Stone Cold Steve Austin was backstage.
Right.
And to the point where they were selling, like, LA 316 t-shirts.
Yeah.
You know, and so you know that Stone Cold Steve Austin's back there.
Yeah.
This is a perfect example of how sometimes WWE is just out of touch.
Yeah.
Because this segment is going wrong.
Well,
it's going wrong. Send Stone Cold Steve Austin down there to start stunning people.
Funny you bring it up. If you believe the rumor and innuendo, #Meltzer says.
Ooh, fun.
He was supposed to finish that segment stunning everybody. LeVar turned it down.
Yeah, of course he did.
But it went so poorly.
Yeah.
Because they were supposed to, the 3 of them were supposed to the balls were
Yes.
supposed to be front row. There's a lot of ball talk today.
Yeah.
Great balls of fire. The balls, anyway. They were supposed to be front row for the Miz's match, and they were supposed to get involved.
Right.
They were so bad that they basically ushered them out of the building right after the segment went to commercial.
Right.
It was, like I said, it's just an awful train wreck. But it's not the first time WWE has had a train wreck, and we will get to some. But there was a silver lining to celebrity appearances this past week. On SmackDown, they did the rap battle.
Yes.
With Wale.
Yeah.
Now, I've never heard a Wale song. I'll admit, I'm not a fan of Wale because I don't know any of his songs. However, I instantly looked at him and I said, this guy's a wrestling fan. You know how?
Right.
old school Wolfpack t-shirt. He had Lex Luger and Kevin Nash on his shirt.
Yeah.
It wasn't like the new t-shirt. It wasn't like the New Day t-shirt. It wasn't an Uso t-shirt. It wasn't a SmackDown t-shirt. It was an old school WCW t-shirt that you have to find on eBay.
Right.
So he's a wrestling fan. Okay, first check in the good box.
Yep.
Secondly, segment was really hilarious.
Yeah, right.
It really worked, despite the fact that they've edited on YouTube because of a couple of things that were said. It really worked well. And that was a great example of taking a celebrity and utilizing him in a way that doesn't embarrass him, doesn't detract from the show, and everybody seems to have a good time.
Right.
They've done that as well.
Yeah, WWE, when they get the right celebrities, they work.
Right.
But kind of like you just outlined, they have to be fans of the show.
It helps.
Because it helps so much. Because if they care about the show, they'll try harder.
Right.
Right? Hugh Jackman, he's on my list of good all-time celebrity performances because Hugh Jackman is a fan of the show. So, you know, he's going to put the extra effort in, right? Having the Muppets on there, which I love the Muppets, right? They are one of my favorite creative properties. That being said, there is no excuse to having the Muppets on to promote Muppets Most Wanted.
They were part of that Raw general manager run, or the Raw guest host run.
Right.
That just, it was
awful.
They weren't even trying.
No.
It was literally like, what movie's coming out this week? Get one of the actors, throw them in the ring, have them say some things. And it'll be really awkward.
Miss Piggy karate chopped The Miz. And like he
sold it.
He bumped
sold
hard.
it.
And it's like, I'm willing to suspend my disbelief.
Okay.
But just like in a movie, if all of a sudden we're watching Braveheart and in the final climactic battle, aliens all of a sudden come down,
and then, sock puppet.
Right. and then the British and the Scottish team up to fight the aliens, and that's how Braveheart ends. That would be the worst movie ever. Or the best movie ever. I'm not sure.
Depending on how you want to look at it. Yeah.
But having the Muppets on, having Scooby-Doo on.
Scooby-Doo, Bob Barker.
Yep.
I mean, they did a whole series on the network with Jerry Springer.
Right.
Too Hot for TV, even though all the clips they showed were on TV.
Yeah.
And Hoda and Kathy Lee, they got drunk and just kind of were themselves.
They were just drunk suburban housewives.
I mean, can you think, besides Hugh Jackman, can you think of a segment during the Raw special guest host that worked?
Michael Strahan. Michael Strahan.
Oh, I do remember that, and I don't agree with you.
I just remember him giving a hip toss and.
Oh, well, physically, yeah, but they spent 20 minutes talking, and that was like, when you let the celebrity kind of run, eventually they're going to run out of steam and not know what else to say, and it's going to be a hard out.
Right. Yeah. Because the only thing I remember from that is that hip toss.
Okay. So some that have worked in my opinion.
Betty
White kind of did work. Okay, I'll give you Betty White, but Betty White works in everything. Some of the ones I have down that did work. Of course, we talked much about it. Rob Gronkowski.
Yes.
Hashtag Mojo Mania happened. We called it on this show. It worked. But they also used him very well, as we talked about.
Right.
He didn't cut a promo, thank God.
Yeah.
He caught in. He threw Jinder around, which, looking back on it now that he's a champ, is kind of hilarious.
Yeah.
And his buddy won, and they did the whole chest bump thing.
Do you think he could fight Jinder at SummerSlam?
I think anybody could fight Jinder at SummerSlam.
Rob Gronkowski versus Jinder Mahal, SummerSlam, book it.
Mojo's going to be pissed. That was his match.
Yeah, well, Mojo can help Gronk win the title.
Okay, there you go. Yeah, he helps him win a battle royal, and then they give the title to Gronk. Okay.
One of them is a multi-time Super Bowl champion, and the other one's Mojo Rawley.
Okay, fair enough. Another one that worked. Back in SmackDown of 1999.
Yes.
End of Days was a movie you never saw, but Arnold Schwarzenegger was in it, and he was promoting it on SmackDown.
Yeah.
And he couldn't have
SmackDown?
No, it was down. It was a couple months in, but it was probably a dozen shows in or so.
Okay.
But he was so happy to be there.
Yeah.
It was amazing. Like, every person he talked to, he didn't care about promoting his movie, probably because he was in it and he knew all about it. But he was so happy. He's like, "This is extraordinary." He said extraordinary 47 times in a show. He comes down, he does commentary, he doesn't even put a headset on, he's just got a live mic and he's just babbling on about how great it is. Vince McMahon has done an empire. This is God, yeah. And then he throws a vicious pummeling Potato at Triple H to end the show, and then hands like Austin a chair. It was a mess.
Right, yeah.
It was a mess, but it worked because of how happy he was.
Yeah, he was invested.
Now, mind you, if you do go back and watch that episode of SmackDown, let me put a little bit of a disclaimer on it, because it was the Attitude Era. It starts with a 20-minute segment that is not indicative of the happiness that Arnold Schwarzenegger shows. It was when DX abducted Stephanie McMahon, and I believe because we're live right now, I'm going to stop talking about what actually happened on that show. It's filthy. Anyway, Mike Tyson worked.
Yep, Mike Tyson worked.
I segued that way on purpose, by the way. Mike Tyson worked
He did.
with DX to build up to WrestleMania 14, which was right here in Boston. And again, just a guy who couldn't have been happier to be a part of the show.
Right.
Despite the fact that, again, can't talk,
Nope.
can't speak a lick.
Yeah.
He can't cut a promo to save his life. But when you needed him, he was there. He could do his crotch chops, he could wear the shirt, and then he knocks Michaels out for that big news moment.
Right.
Of course, he forgot Stone Cold's name at the press conference afterwards, but, that's cool.
Yeah. As you do.
As you do.
As you do.
Another one that works from the sports world, Bob Uecker.
Yeah.
All right, I'm going way back. I'm showing my age, but WrestleMania 3 and WrestleMania 4, Bob Uecker was a big part of the commentary team. In 4, he was chasing Vanna White around the arena. It was a lot of fun. And if you're a Major League fan like I am, that's where you knew Bob Uecker from, and I loved Bob Uecker. Keeping with the baseball theme, somebody who's made 3 WrestleMania appearances, Pete Rose.
Yeah.
Again, I don't know how much of a fan Pete Rose is of WWE's product, but he took those tombstone pile drivers 3 years in a row.
Yeah.
14, 15, and 16, also known as WrestleMania 2000, took tombstone pile drivers from Kane. Once he was dressed as a chicken.
Yes.
Or was that 2 years?
I think it was 2
At
years.
least 1 year he was dressed as the San Diego chicken.
Yes.
Or San Francisco chicken. One of the chickens.
The rice-a-roni chicken?
The rice-a-roni chicken, exactly. Now, the last one on this list, but we can just kind of spitball after that. From WrestleMania 5, it was a segment, it was a Piper's Pit segment with Brother Love and Morton Downey Jr. Again, I'm showing my age here, but you can go on YouTube and watch Morton Downey Jr. Morton Downey Jr. basically invented the genre of talk TV that Jerry Springer took hold of.
Yes.
He was that original. He was fantastic. If you haven't seen the documentary Evocateur on Morton Downey Jr., go watch it. But this segment worked because Morton Downey Jr. just kind of let Piper do Piper stuff.
Right.
He sat there, he smoked his cigarette, blew it in his face, waited for the fire extinguisher, and it was all good.
Yeah.
It was a great segment.
Right.
And he was quick enough to kind of jab back at Piper, which at the time, not a lot of people were.
Right.
Which made that segment work. And it didn't feel awkward. It wasn't like forced, scripted, like, I'm going to get you.
Yeah.
It was well played.
Yeah.
I'm going to let you go while I take a breath, because I rambled through that really fast.
I have a couple of celebrity appearances that I really liked. The big one for me is Mark Cuban. The man has been put through several tables and taken several bumps, and he's a wrestling fan. He's openly admitted that. Mm-hmm. So having him go out there and be willing to get put through a table is awesome.
Right.
Another one in that same vein is Machine Gun Kelly. He's a musician, I guess, but Kevin Owens put that man through a table off the stage. And if you're going to be willing to do that, you're
okay.
You're okay in my book.
Even though the appearances was kind of crap.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of the song, but again, like, if you're going to just show up, do your song, or pitch your movie, and then we're going to wave and say goodbye, then I got no use for you. Right. But if you're going to let the biggest heel in the company at the time come in and power bomb you off of the stage because he's mad about your music,
fair enough.
Then you know what? That is a good thing.
Fair enough. You turned me around on Machine Gun Kelly.
And then another one is Stephen Amell. Stephen Amell, he's friends with Cody Rhodes.
Had a match.
He actually wrestled in a match.
SummerSlam.
And it wasn't bad.
It wasn't bad.
No. It wasn't bad. Stephen Amell of Green Arrow,
yeah.
He is a former stuntman, so he has the ability to know how to stage combat and stuff like that. So
and he does the action stuff on Green Arrow.
On Green Arrow, yeah. So he was able to get in the ring and not look like an idiot because he's used to stage combat and tussling like that.
And because he's friends with Cody, I'm sure they kind of worked it out enough. His moves he was competent enough in doing.
Right, and that was great. It was, and those are three kind of right off the bat that I remember that you haven't already mentioned.
Right.
Because, Tyson automatically comes to mind.
Yeah, it's what it is. I feel that, again, kind of going on Stephen Amell, it made me think of someone who is probably one of the biggest celebrity WWE fans and has had, I think, 1 or 2 matches. Maybe it was bad timing. I heard she was also hurt. Maria Menounos.
Yeah.
I felt really bad for her in her match, especially knowing that she, like us, is a lifelong childhood wrestling fan.
Right.
I mean, and getting in the ring, I probably would have botched myself all over the place. But I also heard she broke her ribs the day before or something like that.
Yeah,
so, I mean, okay, she worked hurt. Good for her.
Yeah, good for her. She worked through it.
So it was like a 50-50.
Yeah.
It's okay. And now she shows up and does the red carpet for the Hall of Fame.
Right.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah, her impression of Hard Times from Dusty Rhodes.
See? She knew the words. She knew every single
all
one.
All the words. And
she made Dusty pop, and that's not easy to do.
That's not, So, she's a good one.
What about bad ones? I mean, we've there's so many.
Yeah, I mean, Hoda and...
Yeah, you're going back to those two.
They
really pissed you off.
I didn't like it. I didn't like it at all. Well, because there was no meat. They just showed up and they were like, hey, we're guest hosts.
Right. It was literally a promo thing.
Let's drink wine, watch,
They thought they were on their own show.
Yeah. And I was just like, ugh, no. I didn't like that.
Let's not end on a down note.
Right.
Okay, let's end on a good note. Let's talk about, we're going to tease, because next month, or this month actually, it's July?
2 weeks.
All right, 2 weeks, my God.
2 weeks.
2 weeks, I should know, because it's actually on my birthday.
Oh.
I will be watching this on the beach on the Cape.
Oh, happy birthday to you.
Thank you. Battleground is coming up on July 23rd, and I can't wait to get to this show and talk about this. But all I'm going to say is, a couple months ago, when they were doing the House of Horrors match, we laid it out because when we were promoting that, we didn't know what it was going to be. And we said, this is either going to be awesome or it's going to be the Punjabi prison match.
And
on my birthday, thank you, WWE. Thank you. We are getting a Punjabi prison match, the 3rd ever.
Yeah.
I really feel like this is one of those moments where they're sitting around creative. Okay, here's a great example of it. Do you remember, it's asking a lot for you to remember TNA, but do you remember TNA when they did a pay-per-view of all cage matches?
Yeah, Lockdown was awesome.
Okay. Well, the reason it was all cage matches was a joke. It was when Dusty was on the creative.
Okay.
And he was sitting in the room, and I heard this in an interview, and he goes, what if every match was a cage, baby?
Yeah, of course.
And Dixie, that was a terrible Dusty, by the way, and Dixie Carter went with it.
Yeah.
And it was a joke. He was saying, he's gone on record saying it was a joke to do all cage matches. I feel we're going into that territory now where somebody was just burnt out on the SmackDown creative. He's leaning back. He's got his coffee. He's just like, what if we do a Punjabi prison match? Oh, damn, pal, that sounds great. Let's go with that one.
He's Indian.
Exactly.
He's Indian, pal.
It's going to be a mess. And all it makes me think of is if you own the Jackie Brown DVD or Blu-ray, go to the special features. There's a whole litany of Pam Grier trailers from the 70s. Those movies, Women in Cages, Black Mama, White Mama. It's all that. They were filmed in the Philippines, and it was all like bamboo, women jailed up type of stuff.
Okay.
Again, I can't really.
I have Jackie Brown on DVD. I have
Go for it.
I'm gonna have to stumble upon this.
It's good. It just makes me think of that because I've never been to a Punjabi prison. I've never been to a prison. Period. I hope I never do.
Yeah. Right.
But I want to imagine they're not made out of bamboo.
No.
But in those movies, in the exploitation era of cinema, all the women were in bamboo prisons.
The funny part is it's basically just a cage match, except it's just bamboo.
Oh, it's not, though.
Oh, there's 2 layers?
There's 2 layers, and once you get through the first layer, you have 60 seconds. Once the door opens, you got 60 seconds to get through the first layer. Once that door closes after 60 seconds, closed forever. And there's 4 doors. So if you have 4 minutes to get out of a cage. And if you don't, much like The Undertaker did in the first one against The Big Show, because those 2 belong in a Punjabi prison match, you get trapped in the first one. Now, granted, you can still climb over the top, which takes about 30 seconds as opposed to 4 minutes.
Right.
But it has a little bit of element to it.
Yeah.
Thank you, Pat Patterson.
Thank God.
That's going to be a fun show to talk about, I feel.
Yes, it will.
That mixed with seeing whatever happens with Tamina and Lana that happened on SmackDown. That was very awkward, very weird, and I cannot wait to dive full force into that.
Yeah, but the saving grace of that show is we're going to get AJ Styles and Kevin Owens.
We are. For a championship.
For the U.S. title.
Fantastic. But that is going to happen on July 23rd.
Yep.
Sunday night, Great Balls of Fire. I can't wait.
It's going to be fun.
Follow us on Twitter, @MikeWen, @LiamNAI. We'll be tweeting with the show, probably intoxicated. Thank you for joining us on That Wrestling Show here on Nesson, and we will see you next time. Stage Freeze.
Goodbye, everybody.